Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
What is up, Pacer Nation? Welcome back to another episode here of your go-to Pacers podcast, Setting the Pace. I'm your host, Alex Golden, and unfortunately, my guy, Michael J. Facci, is unable to join. We were supposed to do the recap tonight, but Facci was feeling ill and asked me to cover this one solo, so that's what we're going to do. And to break up the monotony of how we usually cover these podcasts on these post-game shows, we're going to do something that I used to do about 2 or 3 years ago when we had a website called PacersTalk.net, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly of tonight's game. So we're going to start things off with the good, then go to the bad, and go to the ugly. So we're going to start things off positively here. Obviously, the Pacers lose 135-120 to the Denver Nuggets. That's not a positive. Might be for some people, but it is not a positive. But we're going to talk about the positive things that we saw from this game. So let's get right into it. The good news is Johnny Furphy returns. Johnny Furphy is a fan favorite. Johnny Furphy is a beloved Pacer already, and in such a short amount of time. Rick Carlisle has said that he loves him, and the front office has given him high praise. Now, he's returning from an ankle injury that he's been out for about a month with. Actually, November 3rd was the last time that he played in a game. He got hurt against the Bucks in the second half. So Johnny Furphy returns, however, 0 points on 0 field goals attempted in 16 minutes. Still trying to get himself reacclimated with the speed of the game and the flow of the game. So, you know, it was good to see Johnny back on the court. Now, we found this out in the pregame. Obi Toppin will be inducted into the Dayton Hall of Fame. That is good news because Obi Toppin obviously has been on the sideline with that foot injury, wearing a boot. I believe he already had surgery, so it's good to see Obi back with this team. And, you know, the ball got stuck on the top of the backboard tonight, and Ben Mathurin had to use a mop to get it down. Everyone was looking around for Obi to go up there and jump and get it down. But unfortunately, Obi cannot do that because he's in a boot. But really cool that he's going to be inducted into the Dayton Hall of Fame. Obviously, was the 2020 College Player of the Year. And so that's really, really cool for him. December 13th is the date that he will be inducted. Now, let's get back to the game. Ben Shepp, our guy Ben Shepp, he is knocking down some shots. And in this game, he went a perfect 5 for 5 for 14 points. And a lot of his damage came at the start of that third quarter where he went 4 of 4 and scored the first 10 points. He was awesome in that stretch and really good for Shepp just to get the ball to fall through the net. He was feeling confident in himself when he was shooting the basketball, and that is the version of Ben Shepp that we like to see. So if we can get more versions of that, I think that's going to be better for this Pacers team. Now, another guy that played pretty well, he also had 14 points off the bench, T.J. McConnell on 7 of 10 shooting, 3 steals, 1 block, 6 assists, just 1 turnover. Very efficient T.J. McConnell game, and we got to go back to that fourth quarter when he hit a tough basket over Bruce Brown. And as Bruce Brown turned around, T.J. McConnell went up and slapped him in the butt. Now, they were talking after the game. Obviously, these are former teammates. So, you know, McConnell just having a little fun out there, and I think it's great. So, T.J. McConnell, pretty solid game from him. Now, if we want to talk about from a team perspective, the Pacers actually did a good job in the second half. They outscored the Denver Nuggets 72-63. 72-63, that's really good scoring. The defense, obviously, you don't want to give up 63 points and a half, but much, much better than 72, which you gave up in the first half. So you match what you gave up in the first half and only allowed 63. So you outscore the Nuggets by 9. Now, to the Nuggets' credit, they were up quite a bit going into the second half, so maybe their foot was off the gas a little bit, but still much, much better effort and performance from the Pacers in the second half. Now, more exciting news for the Pacers. They went 13 of 28 from 3 in this game. They shot 46.4%. So you might say, well, why didn't they get more shots up? And that was a question that we saw all over Twitter. Like, the Pacers had more three-point attempts they probably could have taken, but they just didn't take them. So that is really interesting. 13 of 28 from the field for 46.4%. They needed to get more threes up because that is what the defense of the Nuggets was asking them to do. But at times they just seemed a little bit passive. So, you know, but still, good to see them shooting the ball well. This has been a struggle for them this season, having consistency from the three-point line. Now, if you want to know who the best lineup was for the Pacers in this game, in 2 minutes and 5 seconds, they were a +8. It was T.J. McConnell at the 1, Garrison Mathews at the 2, Jarris Walker at the 3, Pascal Siakam at the 4, and Isaiah Jackson at the 5. That was your best 5 for 2 minutes and 5 seconds, outscoring the Denver Nuggets by 8 points. Kudos to them. And Garrison Mathews, look, first 10-day Garrison Mathews was horrific. Second 10-day contract Garrison Matthews has been very good. I think he had 15 points, if I'm not mistaken, in the previous game against the Cavs. In this game tonight, he is a plus 10, the best plus minus of any Pacer on the team, and he went 3 of 4 from the field for 9 points. And here's an interesting thing. With Furphy back into the lineup, Jeremiah Robinson-Earl did not play in the rotation. He played the final 3 minutes of the game when the Pacers waved the white flag. So, we've talked about that last roster spot being up for grabs, and if Garrison Mathews continues to shoot the basketball like this and just have that level of gravity that JRE doesn't provide, not saying it's going to happen, but there could be a slight chance that they waive Jeremiah Robinson-Earl and sign Garrison Mathews to a standard contract which is non-guaranteed. So just something to monitor, especially if Garrison continues to play well. Now, some funny stuff after the game. Rick Carlisle sits down at the podium and he goes, "What was that run in the second quarter we gave up?" Okay, thanks. I'm going to try to answer all your questions with one answer here. And tries to go on this long thing, and then he gets into this moment where he goes, when teams are going on runs, you just want to call timeouts, and I've got us a couple of technical fouls this year by calling timeouts. He said, but I really wish that that timeouts were like vowels on Wheel of Fortune and you could buy them. It's like, this is where Rick is at. Like, he is just, you're 4-18. Like, what are you supposed to say? But like the fact that he went up there and made a Wheel of Fortune reference about wanting to get more timeouts in a game and saying he wishes you could buy them. Well, you kind of can. It just costs you a point. It costs you a technical foul. And that's how it works. So I think he actually said he tries to call them when the other team has possession. That way they don't get the ball back and a free throw. They just get to shoot the free throw and they already had the ball. So kind of an interesting strategy there from Rick. But, this is just where the Pacers are at this point in the season. Then lastly, a guy that I think some Pacer fans were a fan of, that is RayJ Dennis. Well, aspirations might be calling RayJ Dennis because he has landed a 2-way contract with the Los Angeles Clippers per Mike Scotto. Now, what made this even funnier was just last night we heard that the Clippers have dismissed Chris Paul from their roster. Now, they have sent him home, but they have not waived him. And based on some complications with their roster, it looks like they will more than likely have to find a trade for him, which could be doable. I think is on a minimum contract. So, that's not good news, I guess. I mean, maybe for Chris Paul, gets him out of Clipper hell, which has just been terrible this season. I know they think they won tonight's game, but they have not been playing well this season. Maybe he can latch onto a team that has a better chance of winning a title in his last year, because he did announce he would be retiring at the end of the year. But what made me laugh is Mike Scotto said, with Chris Paul's departure, adding RayJ Dennis on a 2-way deal gives the Clippers some more point guard depth. So, RayJ Dennis could not even crack the rotation for your Indiana Pacers at one point, but good to see him going to an opportunity where he can get some potential minutes with the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, I don't expect him to play a ton there, but that is something to keep an eye on. And I believe before the Pacers signed RayJ to a 2-way deal, he actually played for the Clippers G League team. So they're very familiar with his game. And we saw some good RayJ moments. We saw some bad RayJ moments. And when Brett Evans was on this podcast, he kept referring to him as Tragic Bronson. And I think that's probably more of the ups and downs of who RayJ is and just being a little bit undersized. But he's a decent ball handler. So a good 2-way player. Was a little bit surprised he didn't get more run with the Pacers as they were struggling here this season. But kudos to him for landing a spot with the Pacers, bringing in Ethan Thompson on that 2-way deal and getting rid of RayJ. So that is the good from tonight's game, and I want to go ahead and take a quick break and tell you guys about our great sponsor over at Ripple Bagel and Deli. Now, unfortunately, with the Pacers' loss, you cannot get a free side or drink, but you can go down to Ripple Bagel Deli any day of the week and try the Setting the Pace sandwich and let them know that you heard about them on the podcast, because they love hearing that their name is being mentioned on this podcast, and they love hearing that listeners of our show are coming out to their restaurant to try the food. So it's really a win-win for Setting the Pace, and it's a win-win for Ripple Bagel Deli. So please do us a favor, go down there, try the Setting the Pace sandwich, salami, turkey, pastrami on whatever bagel you prefer with lettuce and cream cheese. I'm telling you, it is absolutely delicious. So go out there, let them know that you heard about it on Setting the Pace. Now, let's get back into this game recap, and we're going to dive into the bad from the game. Now, I don't mean to be critical here, because look, the bad is kind of like the meh. It's not like the worst thing, because that's the ugly. The bad is, this wasn't good, but it wasn't ugly. So Pascal Siakam, really solid stat line for tonight. but he shot a horrific 36.4% from 2, just 4 of 11 from 2. And if you want to know how bad this is, in 22 games, this was his third worst 2-point percentage of the season. So he ended up having a 20-plus point game tonight, but just could not find the basket on an efficient level inside the arc. So just a really tough night from him. Now, J Huff, the man that everybody has been loving because he had gone, I think, 5 straight games in double digits. Not tonight. J Huff goes 1 of 6 from 3, only gets 3 points, and the Pacers center struggled. The centers by committee. Tony Bradley led the team in scoring for the center position with just 7 points. The 3 guys, Isaiah Jackson, J Huff, Tony Bradley, they combined for 16 points and 11 rebounds. That is not good for 3 players playing 48 minutes. That is a bad stat. And I want to go back up to the Pacers' 3-point percentage, right? They shot 13 of 28 from the field. If you take away J Huff's attempts, they actually shoot 12 of 22, which is insane. That's 54.5% from 3 if you take away what J Huff shot in the game. So the team without J Huff shot over 54% from 3. You should shoot more threes if that's the case. And the Nuggets were daring you to do it because they were playing a lot of zone in this game. So the Nuggets have not been playing great basketball as of late. They've been kind of up and down. Their lineup is a little bit different. No Christian Brown, no Aaron Gordon, and they're still able to do what they did tonight. So, Jokic, Murray, they're great players, but this is one of those things where they were playing a zone defense and the Pacers were just not able to get the looks they wanted. Now, another bad thing in tonight's game, Benedict Mathurin. Now, I don't think the stats actually show the full story from the game, but if I'm being fair, he had 4 turnovers in this game. He was a team worst, minus 25. And look, he was good in small moments, but we've seen Mathurin be better. To me, it felt like he was passive tonight, and he didn't hunt for his shot enough, which that doesn't usually seem like Mathurin, but that makes me wonder, is this toe injury bothering him at all? Like, toe injuries are kind of a fluky thing, right? And we've seen how difficult those injuries can be. If you go to the Cleveland Cavaliers, Darius Garland had that turf toe injury that kept him out of some of the playoffs. I think he injured it in the first round against the Miami Heat, was not able to be fully healthy for the Pacers. He came back and played on it, but you could just tell like it was hard for him to plant, like he was playing through a lot of pain. And he's still having issues with it. Even though he's been able to come back, he missed the Pacers game on Monday, and we're just kind of seeing them try to be careful and cautious with it. But it's not one of those things where you can say, hey, sit out 2 weeks, you'll feel better. They're trying all these different orthopedic shoes and inserts and just trying to get him the right cushion that he needs to play. I don't think Mathurin's is nearly as severe, but just kind of shows you the difficulty of toe injuries and how hard that can be. So that was just one of those things where Mathurin, I think we want to see more from Mathurin. And he had some big shots. He had a big 3 that stopped a run in the second quarter. But other than that, like, it felt like a lot of his shots weren't that big after his early start in the first quarter. Now, let's get to the other bad. And you might be like, how is this not in the ugly? But Jamal Murray, y'all. Jamal Murray goes off for 52 points. The Pacers now have 2 players, Canadian guards, by the way, that have dropped 50 plus on them in 22 games this year. Now, I think according to my guy Wheat Hotchkiss from Pacers.com, the highest points scored this season is still 55 by SGA in game 1. That went into double overtime for the Pacers. Now, this was the second game, I believe, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But that was SGA's career high at 55. Jamal Murray's career high was 55 against another team. So the fact that he gets 52, he is right there on the cusp of his career high. And while this season is a wash a little bit, I'm kind of here for the history. I don't like seeing, Jamal Murray's career high was against the Pacers for 55 points or 56 points, but it is also cool to see. It is also cool to be a part of history and see history be made. So I don't have a problem with it, but I will just say for Jamal Murray, he was awesome. Like, this was clearly the story of the game, but because of the format I'm using tonight, it gets buried a little bit. So I thought he was incredible. And to be honest, if we're being really honest, the defense wasn't that bad on him. The Pacers played solid defense. This guy just made hellacious shot after hellacious shot, and he was feeling himself. and rightfully so. I mean, I was loving seeing him all amped up after each made basket. Like, he was really feeling it. And it got me thinking, if you go back to the 2023 NBA Finals, when the Nuggets defeated the Miami Heat, I believe it was a 4-1 series in the NBA Finals. Maybe it was 4-0. I can't remember, to be honest with you, but I know the Nuggets won easily. The Heat really didn't stand a chance, but every year the league will send a young player to ask questions and kind of be like an analyst and a media member, right? So this year during the playoffs run, Dyson Daniels kind of had the privilege of doing that. So during the 2023 NBA Finals between the Nuggets and the Heat, that is when Benedict Mathurin was sent out there. And he asked Jamal Murray a question. Do you remember that time when I beat you one-on-one? And you could tell Murray was like, I don't think I do. I think I beat you every time. And so I am sure, not 100% positive, but I am 95% positive that conversation was not in the back of Jamal Murray's head. But you do have to remember, like, these are Canadian guards that have gone up against each other for plenty of years. And I know Mathurin didn't play with Team Canada this year, but Nembhard has played with Team Canada and Jamal Murray in the Olympics and in FIBA. And Mathurin has been at some of those practices and been a part of some of the other teams that weren't like the official roster. I don't know if he decided not to play because of an injury or things like that, but Mathurin was not on the actual team. I think that actually was the case 2 summers ago because Mathurin was coming back from that injury that he had against the Mavericks in the middle of the season. So you could just kind of tell he wasn't on that team, but still like a part of that organization, that Canadian team. So they played a lot together, and I think that was just fun, friendly banter. T.J. McConnell, as Tony East reported, and posted on his Twitter account, went up and dapped Jamal Murray in the middle of his post-game show, just let him know, like, yeah, good game tonight, bro. Like, he didn't want to interrupt him, but he wanted to let him know, like, hey, that was nice. And so Jamal Murray's a great player. And, honestly, like, Jokic is just one of those guys that draws so much gravity that a guy like Murray, when he gets hot like this, he can be hard to stop. And if you go back to the 2020 bubble, right, when the Nuggets were on fire, and they probably should have won the championship that year, but they didn't. The Lakers ended up winning that year because the Lakers had some crazy comeback against the Nuggets, but the Nuggets, like, they had some crazy shot making in that playoff run, and Jamal Murray is one of those guys. Now it's all a wash, I guess you could say, because it's so long ago, but just shows you the capability of Jamal Murray. So let's go ahead and take one more break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the ugly of this game. All right, everybody, let's get into the ugly of this game, and I kind of hinted at it, but if you watch this game, you know when this game got out of hand. The Pacers close the second quarter. It was 50-45, okay? 50-45 in favor of the Nuggets. Pacers down just 5, but they were managing to hang in there, had a really decent second quarter to kind of just stay afloat. T.J. McConnell was really good in this game. But all of a sudden, the doors swing wide open, and for about 4.5, 5 minutes, the Nuggets go on a 22-3 run. 22-3? And that gave them a 72-48 halftime lead. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we have come on this podcast and we have talked about these games and what is the reason for most of these losses. It is these huge runs that have absolutely decimated the Pacers' chances of winning games. So I went through, it was very painful. 22 games in. These are the largest opponent runs and losses this season. So working from tonight's game, 22-3 versus Denver, we're going to just go all the way back to the beginning of the season. I don't really think there was one against Thunder because that game was pretty close going back in the double overtime. I think it was like a 8-0 run, 9-0 run. That's not much to me. But let's look here at the largest runs over the last handful of games. So Cavaliers on Monday, they went on a 20-8 run to start the game. The Raptors went on a 31-8 run the Wednesday before Thanksgiving to end the second quarter and start the third quarter. The Monday before that, the Pistons went on a 25-6 run in the second quarter. The Friday before that, in the NBA Cup game, the Cavs go on a 24-11 run in the third quarter. The Pistons then, on the previous game, went 20-4 to start the second quarter in Mathurin's return. The home game the Pacers played against the Raptors after their West Coast road trip, this was hard. 2 13-point runs from the Raptors, and then a 12-point run. So you had, just some ridiculous scoring from Toronto in that one. Now, this West Coast road trip, obviously pretty ugly. The Suns go on a 27-3 run in the fourth quarter. The Jazz, they go on a 38-12 run in quarters 2 and quarters 3 combined. The Warriors close out the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter on a 49-18 run. Jesus. The Nuggets, in that first game on the road trip, they went on a 26-11 run to end quarter 3 and start quarter 4. The one game the Pacers lost to the Nets went on a 19-8 run in the fourth. When the Pacers lost on a Giannis game winner, the Bucks actually had 2 12-point runs in that game, which were big. If you go to the first NBA Cup game of the year on Halloween, the Atlanta Hawks had a 25-6 run starting in the third quarter. To end the third quarter in the game before that, the Minnesota Timberwolves, they went on a 25-11 run. And then the game Benedict Mathurin got hurt, the second game of the season. The Grizzlies went on a 25-7 run in the third quarter and then a 23-4 run in the fourth. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 massive runs we've seen. And some of those had multiple runs in a game, but that's 19 multiple runs you've seen. You've had 18 losses. These runs right here where you're just having no offense, it is absolutely abysmal. It is ugly. And I know, Pacer Nation, you're thinking, well, it is what it is, right? We don't have all these guys healthy, and how are we supposed to do anything? It's the fight. It's just the offense just dies. It becomes stagnant. And I thought that Jim Boylan in his halftime interview with Jeremiah Johnson, Caitlin Cooper pointed this out. I thought it was a great point. He said, our bad offense led to bad defense. And a lot of times you'll hear bad defense leads to bad offense, but no, it was the Pacers' bad offense. They were terrible on offense during this game at stretches. When you allow the Nuggets to go on a 22-3 run over 4.5 minutes, you can only score 3 points in nearly half a quarter. You're not going to win games. You can't dig yourself into a 24-point hole going into half and expect to come back and win the game. That's just not going to happen. You might lose by 15, make it a little bit closer, the margins look a little bit better, but you can't keep digging yourself into a hole and just trying to dig out. This has kind of been the MO of the Pacers this season. It's digging holes for themselves and giving themselves a chance to win games, and they just can't figure it out. So that is one of the things I went through and found all the stats on that. So if you would like me to post that somewhere, I can post it on Twitter or something. But yeah, that's rough. So the Pacers fall to 4-18. This is my last ugly, right? The record is ugly, y'all. The percentage is just horrific. But look, there can be beauty in ugliness, right? Because beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. So while the players might say 4-18 is ugly, fans who are on Team Tank, this might be the most beautiful night you've seen in a while. The Pacers lose by 15 to a really good team. You get to see Jamal Murray go off for 52 points in a really fun game. You get to see TJ McConnell have a really nice game. The Pacers have a little bit of a fake comeback there to get this game semi-close at the end of the third and some in the fourth. But at the end of the day, you get the results that you want. You get a Pacers loss. So that is how we're going to end today's show is just talking about how there can be beauty in ugliness. So as I've been saying on this podcast, a loss for today is a win for tomorrow. Pacer Nation, we sure do love you guys. We appreciate your support. And listen, I've been on Twitter. I've been seeing people tagging us, saying that Setting the Pace was their most listened to podcast on Spotify. And I want to say thank you guys so much for doing that. Look, this season, it's been rough. I'm going to throw my hands up like Tyrese, he don't know what's going on, when he was on the Pat McAfee show. I don't know why you guys come back and listen to us talk every single episode, but I want to thank you guys for doing that. I know last year's playoff run and run to the NBA Finals in Game 7 was absolutely magical, and we put out a lot of content, but we're still keeping the content coming despite where the Pacers are at. So as we wrap up this show, like I said, don't want to dive too much more into anything with this game specifically, but if you guys remember last year during the playoffs, we started our Chat BCC group chat. Now, we haven't been as active in it this year, and for obvious reasons. The team's not playing well. The hype from the playoff run, it kind of makes Chat BCC not as fun. But we're gonna ramp that up, y'all, because in the beginning of 2026, we're not only going to be doing giveaways for tickets to a Pacer game this season, but we're going to be doing weekly trivia and weekly questions in the group chat. So if you're not a part of the Chat BCC group chat, I am encouraging you guys to get involved in that, because what we're going to be doing is a giveaway at the beginning of the year. So I know holidays are around the corner. We got Christmas Eve coming up, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and Hanukkah for those who celebrate Hanukkah. There's a lot going on in the month of December. My son's birthday, my wife's birthday, there's a lot. So I get it. Just we're going to get through the holidays. We're going to see where this Pacers team's at. But starting in 2026, we're going to make Chat BCC a fun place again. So I had a really good time chatting in there. I know there's still people that chat in there on the norm, but we're going to make sure we really use that. So if you guys want to send in mailbag questions, we're going to put that strictly on Chat BCC. We're going to have videos that have, questions or hot topics of the week. Going to do some weekly trivia as well, where the winner will be entered to win a prize at the end of the year, and we will draw and we will get you guys hooked up with a City Edition jersey of your choice. Okay. So that is what we're trying to do. We're just trying to ramp it up, and there might be more things involved in those weekly prizes. It could be a $10 gift card to Ripple Bagel and Deli. It could be a gift card to the team shop. You just never know. So just be on the lookout. Chat BCC is going to have some awesome opportunities. And I also want to get you guys involved a little bit more in the show. So if you would like to be on Setting the Pace as a fan of the week, or come on one of these recaps with Facci and I, or just an episode with Facci and I, please let me know at alexgoldenNBA@gmail.com. Would love to get your guys' insight on this team and just get to know most of our fans, because I've noticed that when I've been able to have fans on the show and then meet them in person at games, those relationships, they just kind of grow, and it's really cool to hear from you guys. So get your guys' thoughts on the games too as well at Chat BCC. And if you have any hot topics you want us to talk about, let us know. Chat BCC is the place to go. I think you can actually just type in Pacers.chat and find it. But if you're looking for it on the Apple Store, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, whatever, just type in Chat BCC and then Setting the Pace. I will provide a link in this description as well on audio and YouTube. So if you guys want to join, please be a part of that. So Pacer Nation, thank you all so much for tuning in. And I'll be back tomorrow with our good friend, Young Simba. And Young Simba is back. Facci still not able to be with us, but really excited because me and Young Simba are talking about making some trades for a center. So we throw out some ideas that would land the Pacers potentially a starting center. And what would that trade look like? Let's find out tomorrow with me and Simba. We'll talk to y'all then. Peace out, Pacer Nation.